Hello everyone. We're still working with the zero product formula. And not the formula, but the zero product. And what we're doing right now is just examples. So if you want instruction, you should go back and watch the previous video. But if you just want to work through some examples with me, watch this one. So we're going to start with an easy example. Y times y plus 1 times y minus 16 equals 0. Step number 1, just draw on your dotted lines and set each part of it equal to 0. Now, you've never seen one with a 3 like this. So what you should do, set each of these equal to 0, even this plain old y right here. So drawing in my dotted lines, I have y equals 0, y plus 1 equals 0, y minus 16 equals 0. Y equals 0, starting with this one, that's already done since it's y equal to some number. Over here though, I have to get rid of the plus 1, so I'll minus 1 from each side, so y equals negative 1. Now that's done. And over here I have y equals 16, so to get rid of the 16, I add it to the other side. So that's y equals 16. My solution then to this is each of these 3. So I write it like this: y equals 0, negative 1, 16. You may also see it written like this. Oops, let me make that a little bit better. There are these brackets, and then the numbers inside the brackets separated by commas. That's another way you could write it if you'd like. All right, let's move on to another example. All right, this one is x plus 10, 3x minus 1, and 3x plus 1 equal to 0. Step number 1, draw on our lines and set those, each parentheses equal to 0. Alright, so x plus 10 equals 0, 3x minus 1 equals 0, 3x plus 1 equals 0. Starting with the left, how do I get x by itself? Well, it's plus 10, so it's minus 10. So x equals negative 10. That's done. Over here, we have to do PEMDAS backwards. So we start by getting rid of the addition and subtraction. We see subtraction with the negative 1, so we add 1 to each side to get rid of it. So we have 3x equals 1. Then move on to multiplication and division. We see 3 is being multiplied by x, so we do the opposite, which is divide. So we're left with x equals 1/3. That one's done. Do the same thing over here with the PEMDAS backwards. So minus 1 to each side. So we have 3x equals negative 1. Then we divide by 3. So x equals negative 1/3. These are all of our answers. And then we can write them out however we want. X equals negative 10 1/3, negative 1/3. Or negative 10 1/3, negative 1/3. All right. Now, these were the easy ones. We're going to work with a double factor. We're going to work with a double factor example. So you have to do a little bit more work. It's not given to you in this easy form. All right. So right now would be a great time, if you don't know how to double factor, to pull out those notes. Because you're going to need them, and I'm not going to write them on the board this time. So our problem is 23x minus 6 equals negative 4x squared. All right. For the zero product, we need everything set equal to 0. This problem isn't, so we have to figure that out. How are we going to set this equal to 0? Well, if we take away everything on that right side, then there's going to be nothing left, and that's 0. So let's do that to start out with. So I'm going to add 4x squared to each side. So we have if I write this in order from highest term to lowest term, I would have 4x squared plus 23x minus 6, and that goes away, so I'm just left with 0 on this side. Now, this is a trinomial, but I need it in the factored form to do the zero product. So I have to double factor this quadratic right now. So step number one, I multiply 4 and the negative 6, which gives me negative 24. I put this on the top of my diamond, and the bottom of my diamond is the middle term, which is the 23. Next, write out my factors of 24. So 24 and 1, 12 and 2, 6 and 4, and 8 and 3 I missed. So which of these groups of terms has a difference of 23? That's 24 and 1. The 24 has to match the same sign as the bottom, so it has to be a positive, which means the 1 is the negative to make the negative 24. So these, the 24 and the negative 1, are our solutions to the diamond, and they get entered in for what the middle term is. So how about I go ahead and write this next step up over here. So I write our first term, which was 4x squared. The middle term is now replaced by these two. So we have plus 24x minus 1x. And then I just tack on my c value, which was the negative 6. Now I do my parentheses. So group them up. Next, pull out my common factors. So a 4 and an x can be taken out of this, which leaves x right here, plus 6. What can I take out of this side? Well, I can take out a negative 1, which leaves x plus 6. Notice that if I take 4x times x, I get 4x squared. 4x times 6, I'll get 24x. Negative 1 times x, I'll get negative 1x. Negative 1 times 6, I'll get negative 6. If you have to go back and watch that part again, please do so, because that's prior knowledge that you should have known right now. But we need that in order to figure out the zero product. Now, we can write our solution. We see that the x plus 6 and the x plus 6, they're the same, so that means we did it correctly. So we write that term down first, and then we write down the coefficients in front as the second term. Now it's in that form of, now it's in the factored form, so we can use the zero product. So let's do our dotted lines. Set both of these equal to 0, so x plus 6 equals 0, 4x minus 1 equals 0. Start with this one over here, minus 6 to each side. So we have x equals negative 6. Move over to the right. Do PEMDAS backwards, so we add 1 to each side. So we're left with 4x equals 1. Then divide by 4. So we have x equals 1/4. Write your solution in whatever way you would like. I'm going to write it as x equals negative 6, comma 1/4. And there, you found the zero product using a double factor example. Those are the difficult ones, but you can do it. Just got to take your time, break it down, and understand what steps you have to take before you start.